Hey guys, it's Glenn from G&P Custom Fabrications. Little update video, and I think this is video day 11 of the Rat Duallie 460 swap. And I really feel like I'm in the home stretch now. Although I know with builds, a lot of times it seems like the last 10% of the build is 90% of the work. But since this was already a running, functioning truck, a lot of the details as far as, brakes and electrical, a lot of that stuff I didn't touch and they stayed intact. So a lot of that's already been sorted out. What I've been working on lately, and I got a little bit more to do on this, but I'll go into that here in a minute. For one thing, I got my new stacks. They're filthy. They're cleaned up a little bit, but I wanted stacks because I want flames. At some point I'm going to do flames. That's not top on my priority list, but it needed to happen. I had the side pipes. I love the side pipes. I felt like it was, when I first had the exhaust ran on this truck, it looked goofy because the truck is kind of hulky and fat, and it had this little, even though it was 2.5 inch exhaust pipe sticking out, it looked tiny sticking out the side there. So I had got the side pipes, and I felt like they really fit the truck, really captured the look. But I didn't want to do flames down there because of course they'd be blowing out the side and catching stuff on fire. So that being said, when I went to redo everything, I decided that was going to be part of my redo. So I started looking for some pipes, some 5-inch exhaust pipes, and my original idea was I would take the side pipes I had and just weld them on top of some 5-inch pipe and finish it out that way. Facebook Marketplace, I found these two foam pipes here. They're 4 foot tall for $60 for the pair. Hell of a deal. Nice guy had them on his truck and went into some newer pipes or whatever. Didn't need them anymore. So that was my top part. Bottom part is my old pipe. I cut it off at the height I wanted and welded it on. And on this bottom side down here right now I got it capped with a 3-inch. Oh, you can see that. With a 3-inch hole that my exhaust pipe will actually weld into when I go to finish up the exhaust. But I don't like the look. See how you can look down and see where it stops at. I don't like that. So I'm going to take some of the original pipe that I have cut off and do a fake, like 6 inches up in there that will just cover enough to where when you're glancing at it you don't see it. Got that pretty much, pretty happy with that. The pipes, because it's a rat rod, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it's not perfect. There is some denting and misshaping this, and top part's chrome and the bottom part won't be, and I'm not gonna fret on that because it is a rat rod. I got all my accessory mounts back on the front of the engine. Got my alternator mounted. I couldn't figure out, I put this belt on, I couldn't figure out why it wasn't fitting, and then I forgot I took the smog pump off of it. So I have to get a shorter belt for that. Got my radiator. I decided to go with, I had a radiator out of a RV that had a small block Chevy 400 in it, out of what I had. And it's kind of funny I end up using it this way. This is it, and yes, I'm using it sideways, just like the one I had in there before, but it was a lot smaller, thinner radiator. So I got this one turned on its side. It actually works good because the cap is on at 45, so you can still fill it, whereas the other one was a nightmare because the cap was on the side. But I ended up not using the trans cooler lines. I don't know, maybe use those for something later down the road, but I don't know how far. The reason I didn't use those is because I think they probably are just in this area here, And with the water level being here, I don't think that it would, I don't know how much cooling it would have done. And I had this cooler sitting around, so that's when I end up putting on there. I think that's more than enough for any towing I'm going to do. I've got a few more little small things I'm going to have to take care of. For one, I got to put my air compressor for my airbags, and hopefully maybe air horns someday I find some. But my air compressor that I had made brackets to fit on the other motor won't just bolt right on this. And the style of air compressor that was on here, or it was an air conditioning compressor, but the round ones aren't real good for making compressors out of, for just pumping air, from what I've been told. And so I was using a York 210, and 210 I had dual belts on it, two V belts, so I have to go to the grooves to match up with the rest of it. So I had to order a new clutch for my pump, and until I get it in, I won't know where I need to position it side to side. I started drilling holes out, thinking that was going to be the right width. I measured it not correctly, apparently, but I'll end up making a metal plate that mounts on here, and then a drill metal plate for the compressor to mount onto it. So I got that figured out. Like I said in previous videos, I will go ahead and keep these exhaust on here for now. I know performance wise it's not the best option. I could even get better gas mileage if I take them off, but I think due to the fact that I'm going to be running, you know, just straight pipe, I'd like to go 3-inch from those on out, but I don't know how big a flange, that's the word. I don't know how big a pipe I can get for the flange to fit on there. I gotta find flanges. I wasn't thinking I was gonna use those, so I lost track of the flanges. But I gotta take those off, pull the studs out, get new bolts, studs for it, get new flanges, and see how big a pipe I can do. I'd like to do, hopefully I can do 3-inch, and then I'll just run 3-inch all the way back to the stacks and see how it sounds. I've got the old glass packs that was on it somewhere. Oh, over here. Got the glass packs here that I could probably go ahead and work them into it, because I'm all about recycling. I have to figure out where everything's going to go yet. But yeah, I'll probably, now that I look at it, I probably will. They sounded good before. I'm not going to lose any performance through them, so I might as well go ahead and throw them in there too. Out of those pipes, and I get some down pipes made and some elbows. I should be able to fab that up myself. If not, I'll just cut the ends off, take it to my foot shop, and let them deal with it. They're going to love this. But anyway, so I made my mount for my radiator and my trans cooler, and then I proceeded to make my electric fan shroud. Now, one issue I'd had with Rat Duallie before was I had my electric fans mounted straight to my radiator. I didn't have the shroud, and what I have come to realize is when you do that, you're only sucking air where that fan's at, you know, unless you're moving. Of course, if you're moving, then you get air all the way around it. But there were several times I'd run down the interstate to get to a car show and then have to creep into the show, you know, like through judging. I've done that a couple of times where they did a judging as you pulled into the show, and my temperature gauge is pegged over and my fans are on, they're just not doing any good. Well, this is something I share with everybody now so you can see it. And mind you, this part of that may have been the fact that that radiator was just not big enough to handle the motor. But I'm sure that was part of the problem, but I'm also pretty well convinced that this is part of it. I'll show a little example here. All right, I got the fan on now, and you can see, you know, the area that the fans cover. So see, But the way mine worked before is, yeah, it would suck in air where the fans was at. But if you got over here where the fans weren't at, you didn't have any suction. But as you can see here, you know, that's everywhere, even down here. So I highly recommend anybody running electric fans. And it even goes for, that's why it's important if you're using just the mechanical fans, that you have a shroud so it will distribute that vacuum evenly through the whole radiator and not just where the fan's at. You may be fine going down the highway, I was, but anytime you slow down, go cruising through town, then you'd have issues with it getting hot. So that's something I've been wanting to share with everybody. On the Sketchy, I got a shroud on Sketchy already, and I was going to show that in the video too, that the difference, and we'll see. You know, of course, I got a lot of variables changing here. I got no idea what to expect when I get this on the road, temperature wise, how it's going to do. I would think that pulling this little thing down the road compared to that big RV, I should never have any problems with it, but I'm using a smaller radiator, so we'll see. You know, the point I was trying to get to earlier was I made this shroud. Well, I did the shroud after I had the mounts in place. Well, once I got this in there, you can see how close my bottom fan is to that bottom pulley. See, it's just about, if it's not touching it, it's awful close. And I could let it self-clearance, but I'd rather not. For one thing, it makes getting the belts on and off of it a nightmare, as I found out when I was trying to put that belt on it. That's what I'm getting ready to work on now. Yeah, I mean, I still have a little bit of work to do on the floorboard. I had to reshape the floorboard in order to get the shifter to work. I had clearance out that corner there, and I don't have it all welded down yet. I don't have the, there's still a gap up in there, and then I have to have some stuff closed up and then remount the gas pedal. Of course, I considered running camera when I was doing all that work yesterday, but once again, you know, I do so much trial and error, it's just nerve-wracking for me to try to keep a camera going, and then when it comes to edit it, I get, it's a nightmare. So I'd rather show you what I got done and show you what I'm going to be working on and show you what I got done. And I like doing the filming some of the fabricating, but sometimes it's more of a distraction. And so anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing, and maybe I'll come back to this video and show you what I got accomplished. Yeah, that's what we'll do. gonna try a little trick here. Keep blowing out, trying to fill that back in. I had too much of a gap back there, I guess. This worked good for me yesterday. I was doing on those pipes. I don't even know. I've seen it done with TIG welding. I never saw it done with arc welding. But I'm going to use another rod. Use it as my filler rod as I arc weld. See if I can't fill some of that gap in. It wasn't the prettiest, but I got it filled in. I can clean it up. Now I should be able to do a pass on top of it. There we go. That looks a lot better. Now this back side, I was thinking I need wedge pieces here, but I can see I just need just little rectangular pieces to fill in that back part. Then I'll have to take it apart, flip it over, get to the bottom welds. So you cut those pieces out next. Alright, try to wrap this up quick before my battery dies on me again. You can see I got it moved up, welded it back together. If you look, I got a pretty good gap now. I don't think I have to worry about any interference there. Should be able to get belts on off really easy without any problem. And let's wrap this up. Lim for GMP Custom Fabrications. Living the dream till the freaking phone rings. Thanks for watching.